Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi, Crypto, and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka.
My
Not
thing
sure
didn't
what
pop up.
that was.
My screen was all messed up.
Uh, oh, you must have clicked on something. But
Oh,
so I'm Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is Jeff. He missed one episode, and I guess forgot forgot how things run.
I know tools.
Yes, I know tools. So yeah, no, we gonna have a great episode for you. Jeff is back from his weekend excursion at the festival. Actually, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. I got a picture of Jeff
Oh,
in the festivities. Yeah,
yeah.
there he is.
Out in the
There's
wild.
yep, out in the wild with his chicken hat.
My duck hat. Yeah, the wings flap when you squeeze the.
Oh, nice, nice. So
Oh yeah.
definitely interesting, definitely interesting.
It was a good
So
time.
yeah, no. So like, you and your brother have fun, or
Yeah, yeah. It was nice. I, we can barely walk right now from dancing and walking. Well, we had to walk like a half mile from the campsite to the actual venue. But it was fun. It was hot, dirty. Camped for a few days and listened to good
was it
music. And
was it dirty like Sack Nasty Stepmom?
oh man, I hope she's not that dirty. But I can only tolerate so much. But I do need to shower once in a while.
Yes, yes. Well, welcome Sack Nasty, welcome Jay, and welcome to everybody out there on X. We're gonna try to give you a good episode. Like the main topic that we're gonna talk about is, other than of course, the great project that Jeff is gonna fill us in on, is there's a lot of sentiment out there right now where people are starting to wonder: is there going to be an alt season? Is Bitcoin just stealing the limelight? Is all of the liquidity being pumped into Bitcoin? Is everyone just chasing Bitcoin? Hoping that it's going to do another 4, 5, 6x. And between memes and Bitcoin is our alts being forgotten. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. But I'm gonna
You
start
want me
out
to hit
with
the
DeFi
socials?
Llama. What's that?
Let me hit the socials real quick.
I'm just gonna hit a DeFi Llama real quick, just to kind of give
Okay,
give a feel for the market, and then we'll head on over to socials. But
sounds
over
good.
on DeFi Llama, it's where I always like to start. Is we got the TVL and the DEX volume. So if you look, we're definitely picking up. As far as DeFi and the DEXs, decentralized exchanges, that the total value locked and the volumes have been up, and I've been noticing it on my pools. All of my pools are have been earning really well. I cashed a bunch of these out, took all my profits, and they're already starting to build again. I did some of them yesterday, some of them today, and already starting to build again. So definitely starting to feel, my Plume pools are, back to, earning some. APRs aren't that high, but regardless, the fees are trickling in. So it's good to see. It's definitely good to see. So yeah, go ahead and jump into the socials real quick, and then we'll take it from there.
Oh, oh, let me save this real quick. I was just sharing this out. Let me. No,
All
we
right.
appreciate everyone for joining us after missing me being absent Saturday. And Mike, I appreciate you handling everything. It was definitely much needed time away. Let me share my screen. And thank you everyone for joining. You can catch us in our main YouTube channel now at DeFi Crypto Airdrops. Mike just added the S, so DeFi Crypto Airdrops every Monday and Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm not sure why our other brother channels aren't on here, the Blockchain Basement and uh, BitLab, but Discover Crypto, my channel, and Vet's channel, Life, Liberty, and Liquidity. He goes live every Sunday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Um, You can catch him on X at Veteran for Crypto, and we also go live on our accounts here, and we have our our new DeFi, the only DCA. Forgot I need. We just got our
We're all over the place. We're all over the place.
yeah. No, I do have a place I need to save this for easy access. So, yeah, the only DCA. You can catch us here on X now, and or the underscore only underscore DCA.
Yeah, I had to get creative. There was a lot of DCAs out there.
It's a lot. And me at the BCR 142. Remember, we will never reach out to you asking for investments or asking to invest your money or take our course. We don't really have courses or anything. We do all this for free. And yeah, we just want you to be safe. And if anything, reach out to these accounts that I'm sharing on here and make sure that you're spelling these right with the right numbers. So reach out to us if you have any concerns or questions. So yeah, just be safe and appreciate y'all so much. And oh, I did see DCBC Alden. What events or festival was it? It's called Lightning in a Bottle. Yeah, there's a lot of live bands there too. So a lot of electronic music, but some kind of vibey jazz bands. And I don't know. Well, there was a band that was kind of like a Led Zeppelin vibe. They've been around for like 30 years, but yeah, a lot of art, stuff you can climb. There was a group called Fleetwood Smack. They were really vibey. They were really good.
Nice.
But yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Well, I'll go ahead and go through the news real quick. I got a couple of things bookmarked on X that I can cover. You want to kick it back over to
oh
me?
yeah. Let
I'll
me. Yep, yep,
as
yep.
usual.
There we go.
It'll be a little aerodrome and plume heavy. It seems to be where most of my feed is going these days. The algorithm definitely knows me. So, aerodrome. This month, Aerodrome has captured more volume on the top stable pair on base, USDC and USDT. So it's tripled, or excuse me, not tripled, but it's in the previous 3 months combined, it's more than it has been. So that's
Oh,
starting to show that there is a lot more people that are starting to onboard. That's what this is telling me. A lot more people are starting to onboard, their fiat and things like that, on on into crypto, because again, whenever they're in these liquidity pools like USDC, USDT, that means that they're swapping between those two. And as anybody that's been in crypto for a minute knows, there's certain exchanges that are very heavy on USDT, and there's platforms like Coinbase that only deal in USDC. So depending on what platform, or centralized exchange or decentralized exchange you're going to, you might need to have one or the other. So that's what this is telling me, is that things potentially could be about to ramp up nicely. This one is a little bit wordy. I'll try to summarize it, but basically it's talking about Plume's recent relationships, or partnerships that they've gotten into, one being Centrifuge. Those of you that don't know, Centrifuge is basically it's partnered with RWA giant Centrifuge to scale tokenized financial products. With this update, Plume becomes the first blockchain to integrate Centrifuge version 3 and their RWA launchpad. So what that means is that it's going to be the portal that is going to allow people to tokenize real world assets. So, again, you got commodities like gold, silver, platinum, things like that, oil. You have real estate. You have art. Whatever. This is going to be the portal, or the platform that they're going to use to do a lot of that. So, and this is what I'm always talking about with Plume, is that it is more of a picks and shovels for projects like Ondo and these other RWA plays. Is it seems like Plume is quickly becoming the one-stop shop for functionality. interoperability, all the different compliance, just all the different aspects that are going to be required for a well-rounded RWA project. Is Plume is the one that's and all of my research that is a one-stop shop for all these things. So, um, and the reason is here we go. Meanwhile, remember that Centrifuge has already successfully tokenized almost 1 billion in assets. Now imagine that all that liquidity is directly accessible on Plume. And this is coming after Plume integrated with Janus Henderson Treasury, worth over 400 million into Nest Credit. Oh, I need to follow Nest Credit. And then you got Skate. So Skate is an innovative project that introduces true interoperability by connecting all virtual machines seamlessly. I want to emphasize that. All virtual machines. That means that with Plume, through Skate, that all of these tokenized assets that are being moved on chain will be able to move across all the chains that are integrated with Skate. So again, liquidity needs to be able to move. You can't just have it on Ethereum. It needs to be able to be on Ethereum and Optimism and just any other. I mean, Cardano, whatever. It's as DeFi and decentralized finance gets built out and this ecosystem matures and grows, interoperability is going to be key. I can't stress that enough. So it goes on to talk about, Bitcoin holds a lot of liquidity, 2 trillion, plus in market cap, but a huge chunk of that liquidity remains isolated from real investment opportunities. With FIMA Labs, Plume is achieving Bitcoin interoperability, providing a direct pathway for all that volume to flow into the RWA ecosystem. You are not ready for what's coming. And if that's not enough to get you excited, consider that Nest Credit, a high quality RWA vault with amazing yields that is powered by Plume, is actually also backed by the biggest private financial institutions in the world, Goldfinch and Apollo Global. So, what they were talking about before with Bitcoin interoperability, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, is that Plume is going to have native Bitcoin. It's not going to be wrapped Bitcoin. It's not going to be Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. It's actually going to be native Bitcoin, much like Cardano.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that Cardano is going to have native Bitcoin. These are the
Mm-hmm.
only two that I know of that are going to have native Bitcoin, which is important because it
Yes.
is, the other ones are basically a token that is hopefully backed by actual Bitcoin or by something of equal value, whereas native Bitcoin is actual Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very important distinction. When you're buying wrapped Bitcoin, it's like, yeah, the dollar value is the same, but it isn't an actual Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
let's see, what else do we got
I
here?
really hope that makes Cardano a powerhouse because it's just been beat down so much. I mean, their development has taken, years and years and years. But,
Mhm.
I guess if you have a long term vision, man, you see all these projects that build fast and burn out and just push, push, push for TVL so quick. And then everyone's on to the next one. But here Cardano's slowly building, slowly ramping up, and now adding the fully backed Bitcoin, and just
And
incorporating all kinds of different stuff. So
as long as Cardano's been around, I am really surprised that they're not further along when it comes to DeFi. I mean, they have some
yeah,
DeFi, but I mean it's nothing compared to a lot of the chains that are out there. And like Base, I mean, Base is as young as it is. I mean, it's becoming a powerhouse. And I really think that it's DeFi is going to be a major part of healthy projects and ecosystems, especially layer zeros or layer ones, for the foreseeable future. Just because of the amount of TVL that's going to flood in from it. let's go before we jump into the project. While you take over the screen and prepare for that, I'll go through the chat and see if we have any questions.
Damn, Rob's stuck at the airport. My brother's stuck at
Oh
the
damn!
airport. That sucks. Damn. His son's
Oh,
graduation's tomorrow, and he
so
might have to miss it.
while you pull up your screen and
Are
get ready to talk about the project, I'll answer some of these
you ready to hand
questions.
it over?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. I'm just going
Okay.
to answer some questions in the chat.
Oh,
So,
let me move this
so
out of the way.
DCBC Alden, it nothing dummy about it, man. That's why we're here is to answer questions. RWAs are real world assets. So, Plume and a lot of blockchain projects out there that are in DeFi, what they're doing is they are tokenizing or digitizing illiquid assets. So, like a bar of gold or a piece of real estate, stocks that you can only trade 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, not on a holiday, things like that. Those things are going to be tokenized. Once they are tokenized, it makes them highly liquid. So stocks, instead of having to have a broker and that sort of thing, and only when the stock market's open, you'll be able to trade stocks anywhere around the world 24/7, 365. If you have a piece of real estate and you want to tokenize that, it will basically avoid a lot of the middlemen. Potentially you could get rid of real estate agents, title companies, a lot of those people that take a cut, and slow down the process. It will be an automated process, and blockchain will do all the work that they do with changing over ownership, doing the due diligence, making sure there's no liens, things like that, and and a bunch of other things. So basically, what RWAs are, anything that when they use that buzz term RWAs, that's what it is they're digitizing or tokenizing what historically have been illiquid assets. So I hope that answers it.
Yeah.
Post
Oh
from
man,
Plume 30
Cetus.
minutes
That
ago
sucks.
for a Roy 50% on Genesis. I'll have to decipher that. There was an exploit in their DeFi pools. Oh, is that Cetus, Jay?
Yeah,
They they almost lost, I believe, a quarter of a billion. Damn,
that's crazy. You didn't have any in
that
Cetus, did you?
no, no. I I,
Okay.
I don't have anything on Cetus. I'm like real. And not that I'm not going to get bit at some point potentially, but I'm real cautious about the platforms that I use. Just
Hmm.
there's just we're way too early. There's a lot of exploits. There's a lot of shadiness that goes on. Um, yeah, Ando wants to
Ondo.
bring the S&P 500 on chain. Absolutely.
65 trillion.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing, man. Is like right now, just in a actually, you know what? I'll bring up RWA.xyz.
Is that that's not including that? That's not Nasdaq as well. They're just S&P only, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, so
So
that's
yeah, I mean, like right now, the total real world assets on chain is just shy of 23 billion. That's a drop in the bucket, and most of that is private credit. I mean, you got the U.S. Treasury debt is 7 billion that's on there so far. You got commodities; they only have 1.5 billion. Institutional alternative funds is only 516 million. Um, but I mean, there's just so much out there that's yet to be tokenized. I mean, it's going to be a massive amount of liquidity, and so that's why I got into DeFi and RWA so hard, and why that's where the majority of my focus is. At least in the near future, I see it being the most what's going to be the most TVL and the most volume, in blockchain until the technology gets more established. But all
Hmm.
right, I think that's it. I appreciate the breakdown on RWAs. I've read and heard a lot about them, just couldn't remember. Again, not a problem, brother. That's what we're here for, is to answer questions. So, all right,
Yes,
Jeff.
yes. So we got a fun one. More AI powered blockchains. So this is GenLayer. I've had this on the list for a little while, but other projects have kind of taken a priority. But this is basically an AI powered blockchain and digital decision maker, enabling trustless agreements and resolutions for smart contracts, AI agents, and organizations. And they have almost 8 million in funding. So 7.5 million in funding from these different investing groups. And they have some airdrop opportunities. One that does require, we're not going to do this one because it requires some on-chain payments, but you can set up like a demo account or a sandbox account on here and make transactions that are in like a testnet mode or developer mode. Because I think this is more of developer mode. You can add a wallet on here. We'll go into that later, but you want to use a dummy account because this will give you the free interactions, since we
Oh,
want to get this to you for free and not make you go through any payment stuff at the moment.
speaking of wallets, how is our channel wallet doing? We do any airdrops yet?
Oh no, no,
All
not
right.
yet. I mean, this will be you know, we'll have to check back, in a few weeks at least. But
Yeah,
so
no,
some of the
I
stuff,
figured. I just want to get in the habit of at least mentioning it so people don't think that we
yeah.
forgot about it.
And I'll actually touch on that because this weekend, since I had almost no service at all. I even brought my crypto phone to just make some testnet transactions, and I on my personal wallet I had like a 700-day streak on a project that I had to break because I had no access to anything. So I couldn't even barely send a text message out. So I basically had a full reset of all my wallets and like no interaction for 3 days. So it sucked, but I was like, kind of a total reset. But this morning, I was back on it, fucking hitting everything hard, and so it's but yeah, but on Friday, I was able to get some stuff in that morning, transactions and shit. But yeah, we're slowly climbing. There's a few that I have kind of their point system. I mean, we're racking up the points on these test nets, so it's good. Saturday we can go through a few of them and just show updates, see where we're at with some of them. Just
All
kind
right.
of, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. You can go ahead and continue on with the project. I just I wanted to touch on it before I forgot.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I know we had a little day off, but yeah, it's good to catch back up on everything.
Oh, for sure.
I hope y'all have had a good weekend, man. Nice Memorial weekend and good weather and good food.
So,
Um,
so after Jeff's done with talking about this project, we'll talk a little bit about the title, that I put up for this episode. Um, just kind of discuss, and feel free to jump in the chat, but basically just talk about what's what's going on with this bull market. So, all right, Jeff.
what a bull market.
Right?
So, GenLayer provides intelligent contracts that are powered by AI, trustless decision making with powerful validators, and real world access, directly integrating live internet data, no centralized oracles needed, and AI scaled efficiently. And we're moving towards a lot of these, AI powered blockchains and projects that it could make things more efficient. I just hope that they don't create a mind of their own and then end up taking over. And
Well, honestly, I could see this project being a DeFi play potentially, because I mean, if it's AI, uh, integrated smart contracts, I mean that's a big vulnerability for DeFi, like and possibly that CDIS hack
mm-hmm,
is malicious smart contracts. So
mm-hmm.
if there was an AI embedded to where it could potentially add a layer of security, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and they kind of show how this optimistic consensus works that they have. And it looks like they use some different, you know, large language models, OpenAI, Llama, Minstrel.
Mm.
So I I don't know. It's fascinating to me how they get these algorithms to work and come up with these graphs and charts because I have no fucking clue how this some of this stuff works. The programming and software engineering that goes into it is incredible. And here's some use cases. So AI commerce, empower AI agents to negotiate, settle, and transact in real time without human bottlenecks.
Mhm.
Decentralized dispute resolution, avoid slow, expensive legal battles with fast, unbiased AI arbitration. When conflicts arise, GenLayer's validators weigh the evidence, reach consensus, and finalize outcomes in hours, not weeks. Interesting. So next gen oracles and prediction markets. And I hope that some of these oracles can kind of compete with Chainlink in a way. I mean, you
Mhm.
you want people not to say that they can overtake them, but you do want some good competition in there, like Pith or Pyth. You know, that kind of got exploited recently, and
Yeah.
I'm
No,
glad I sold mine last year.
no, and it's that's a good good example of just being diversified. People that get way too married to their bags, and I'm preaching. I know I'm preaching to the or I'm speaking to myself as well because I'm way too into aerodrome. It just seems like every time I sell some off and into other projects, to start new liquidity pools, it just seems like I earn it so fast. It keeps being the majority portion of my portfolio. I'm just like, damn it! Like I'm trying not to be so heavy in aero, but I just keep earning so much.
It's hard when you're earning that free arrow, man. um, oh, I don't know. Does Arrow have a hard cap supply?
No.
Okay.
So basically the way the tokenomics work, just real quick, is that they mint new tokens, but when they mint new tokens, they pay those out to VE arrow holders. So people like me that have locks, anything that they don't pay out gets max locked for 4 years. So
Mm.
it's yes, there's constantly tokens being minted. However, they're not going into circulation. They're all being locked. So it keeps the amount of arrow stable.
Cool. That's good to know. Okay. So, yeah, next gen oracles and prediction markets, AI driven DAOs for governance, decentralized organizations. And as a developer, they got stuff that you can use. And I love projects that just provide all their documentation and GitHub commits. And they have a studio that we'll kind of dive into where you can play around in. Um, but like I said, they're funding 7.5 million as of last August. So I don't know if they have any update. I haven't seen any updated stuff as of recently. But there's a platform called Intract where they host these quests and campaigns, and you can let me pull this up. So I have, and this is our account, but they require a proof of humanity score, which you you have to complete certain tasks, but you have to mint the proof of humanity to show that you're a real person. You have to mint that on like the base network or one of these other L2s. But we're doing all this stuff for free. So this we won't be able to participate in. It's just an added bonus. So some stuff isn't necessarily required for the airdrop. Like a lot of stuff that I've done on Intract hasn't necessarily gotten me the airdrop. So don't feel like you have to do this. And also there's only like 2.5 days left. But Intract is a great place that does have quests and campaigns for you to learn about different projects around the ecosystem. But that's what I wanted to show you, because this crypto rank that has a lot of great airdrop hunting products.
Yeah.
And I'll provide the link for this down below. But
All
it
right.
gives you, the information about the project and what tasks pertain to getting the airdrop or qualifying for an airdrop. See, they have one that expired in April, and then this one until the end of May, but it's not always required, or it's not always guaranteed. But for the free part, we will go to the GenLayer website and hit this Try a Studio tab up here. And this is where it's kind of developer friendly. This is kind of where you put in your contracts, your smart contracts, and it's a lot of code. You don't necessarily need to know code. You can find smart contracts online somewhere and upload them here, and that'll give you some interactions. So don't feel like you need to know how to code or understand how the code works, but I'll kind of show you, my approach to this. So when you come here, you'll automatically have a wallet, a demo wallet per your browser. So whatever browser you're on, it'll be different, like on your laptop, or unless it's the same browser profile. See, I have different profiles right here for my Brave browser. So each profile will have a different wallet, a demo wallet with this. And it's hard baked into the browser, so you don't need a seed phrase or anything. But here you can go through the tutorial, kind of walk you through the code editor. This is where your intelligent contracts will live. And these are or example contracts that are already loaded that you can look into. Deploying the contract is this tab right here, and I'll show you how to do all this. And there's different contract states, but that gets into other stuff that I don't even really understand much of. This is all my brother's expertise. The one that Mike was shown in the picture at the
Yeah.
beginning. That's my brother. He's a software engineer.
Yeah, he's actually the one that's hard at work with our app. Trying to our DeFi
Yeah.
portfolio tracker app.
He's making some good progress. He's gotten stuck on a little bit on the liquidity pool stuff, but yeah, we'll talk later on that.
All right.
But yeah, switching contracts, you can switch between different contracts, and these are the different validators running the network. And here's the home page. You can explore intelligent contracts, access internet, code in Python. And you can start coding. So these are the different contracts available. And you don't really need to know how they work or what they are. We're just going to kind of click on one, say hello world. So you can, I forget how to actually run the command down here, but you can run the command right here. Deploy, and then started deploying the contract. And there you go. That's basically all you need to do. And then you have your transaction hash right here. So it's really that easy. It's essentially you're testing out the developer space, the sandbox, seeing how their blockchain works and validating code. And there's stuff down here that you can read if it's errors or contract deployed. You can check out the IDs and stuff. But it's really cool that these projects are, especially with the oracles and stuff. You know, if we can get some solid decentralized oracles, because even with the blockchains, these blockchains all start out centralized, and they develop until and move in stages to decentralization. And there's a website, I'll have to find it, but it shows like the security scores and the decentralization scores of, or the decentralization scores that has all kinds of security metrics and stuff, and it shows where they're at in the decentralization stage. So we really need to get everything, not just blockchains, but the oracles themselves more decentralized, and stuff like this with AI, making in DeFi especially, making these liquidity pools more efficient. Because, right, how's your experience been with the V4 pools now that they've upgraded and been?
So I have been earning it. It seems a lot better on the V4 pools than I was with the V3, but that was just with the Plume pools that I'm in. Um,
Mm.
and it's kind of weird because it's the V3 pools for Plume have had a lot more TVL and a lot more volume, but the V4, I did an A/B side by side comparison. Where I had an equal amount of in a V3 pool and an equal amount in a V4 pool, and I was earning more in the V4 pool over like a couple of weeks, and so I moved all my liquidity from V3 to V4.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, those are some things that are very like nuanced things that a lot of people wouldn't really know or understand, and they'd be stuck in a V3 pool not knowing that they could be earning more. Maybe you know, you could, have you covered that at all in a video or any of your
I I
topics?
believe I believe I did.
Okay.
Because I actually wanted to cover it, somewhat live. So like on a couple of episodes, I was showing the V3 and the V4 pool, like up on the screen, and then
Mhm.
and then finally when I made the decision to go all in on V4, I actually did a little bit of an explanation on what V4 was. So,
Okay.
it's a Uniswap, version 4, and it allows, and I won't get too deep into it, but it allows something called hooks, which is customization, of the liquid of your position in a liquidity pool. So,
Okay. Nice. Yeah, and these are the different validators that help run the network, and you can stake um, your tokens to them. But I believe that's more on mainnet because you can switch your account and add a wallet, but it does require. I think you execute these on mainnet, so I'm still kind of unclear on that aspect of it because I haven't really used my wallet on it at all. As you can see, if you deploy, it will give you an error because on mine it will try and actually create a transaction on the Ethereum network. See, let's see here. Deploy. And I'll actually address. So let's see. So I'm just going to do this transaction on my own wallet as a test. I'll spend 30 cents. Because actually, Ethereum's doing pretty good with the gas fees, right?
It's been a lot better lately. Um, as far as ETH gas fees, I think the most I've spent is like a couple of dollars, which is nothing compared to what it used to be. I remember before I learned about gas and stuff, and I was moving my sheep around. I think at one point I got dinged for like 100, $200 to move some sheep at one point.
Jesus.
And
Shit.
it's on me for not reading the pop-ups and stuff like that. But I had no idea what Gwei was and all that shit. And so yeah, I learned too late.
Sometimes at least it only took one time, and you're like, oh shit. Some we
No,
just.
it gave me a fucking a very bad taste in my mouth for ETH. Like I'm still not a huge fan of ETH. Even though that the fees have gotten better, just because there's so many better projects out there. It just
Mhm.
it's going to take time, for ETH either to fix itself or for people to start building on something else.
Yeah. No, that's really all I had on GenLayer. It's pretty
Cool.
simple. You don't have
Well,
to
well, well let's
do a whole lot of
well let's
crazy
go ahead.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's yes, yeah. Seth Shepard, fees on ADA are cheap. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
it's there's a lot of projects out there, that have smart contracts. 'Cause, that's really what gave ETH its start, its jump was it had smart contracts. Bitcoin didn't have them. Bitcoin was slow. ETH was faster, had smart contracts, and so that's where DeFi went.
Yeah.
And DeFi is really kind of what, in my opinion, built ETH was all that TVL and all the people having to pay the fees. And anytime they're entering liquidity pools or exiting or doing a swap or whatever, that's where it all came from. And that's what pumped the price of ETH so high. So I really think personally, and we'll use this as kind of segue into our topic of is Bitcoin, and in my opinion, memes, are they so far this bull run repeatedly kicking altcoins in the fucking to where it's they're not getting the liquidity pumped into them because of the millions and millions and millions of just shit projects out there and all the attention from institutions and governments and the news that Bitcoin is getting. There's like no attention on alts at all. So other than in the crypto community, those of us in the crypto community, yeah, we're talking about Plume and Arrow and all these other, Cardano and all these other projects. But if you go out there and talk to the normal person on the street, they're going to tell you they heard about Pepe or Sheeb or Doge or Bitcoin. They're not going to tell you about Cardano. They're not going to tell you about Plume. They're not going to tell you about any real projects. And not that Bitcoin isn't a real project. It's not really a project. It's a store of value. But that's kind of what was my thought process when I posted the title. Was it really does just feel like that the cycle has changed, and I could be wrong. And by all means in the chat, um, you know, comment what you guys think. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I've been saying that. Well, the meme coin thing. I know Bitcoin has is going to take a lot of the market share and stuff, but I think the meme coins. I wonder how much that affects the Bitcoin dominance chart because, like we were saying, after the Trump meme coin that took so much liquidity out of everything else, it kind of fucked everyone in real projects, and all the meme coins that pull liquidity away just by trading. It's really painful to see, because we want good projects to flourish, but when you have too much liquidity just going all over the place, the good projects it's spread too thin. You spread too
Yeah,
thin, man.
and that's what it feels like. What's been going on is just everybody and their fucking dog is launching a fucking meme coin, and it's just everybody that's chasing the get rich quick is
Hmm.
is feeding it. I mean that's what's pumped Solana and pump dot fun and all that stuff is just all the memes. Love him or hate him, Trump. He I do not like that he launched a meme coin. It was right when the alt. It felt like the alt season was about to start. I mean, that's when everything dropped off. You can see in the Bitcoin dominance. Back here in November is when the Bitcoin dominance started dropping off, and that's when I got into DeFi, and I almost had, I mean, over $100,000.
Mm.
And then of course, he launched that meme coin, and it just sucked all the air out of the room. All the liquidity, everybody rushed to that freaking Trump token, and it like everything just came to a screeching fucking halt. And then
Hmm.
whenever everyone saw that that was happening, it felt like everyone, either cashed out of the Trump and went in back into Bitcoin. And you can see the Bitcoin dominance fucking shot back up. And it just feels like that something needs to happen. There needs to be some kind of catalyst that kicks off, ETH pumping to give people confidence that the cycle isn't broken, and
Hmm.
that potentially, that if people start piling back in like they have historically, that we can kick this fucking thing off.
Yeah, these. Oh.
Yeah, no, Solana. The problem with Solana, Richard, in my
Mm.
opinion, is it's infected with meme coins. And I'm sorry to anybody
Mm.
out there that's into memes. You do you. I it
Yeah.
to me, I see it as a blight on crypto, because anybody and everybody, and myself included, it was my first introduction to crypto, and you know, I'm one of the few that you know went through the meme experience and dug my heels in and spent the last 4 or 5 years learning about crypto. Most people get burnt because they thought they were going to get rich quick because they saw a social media post. They pile in, and they end up being the exit liquidity for somebody else. And they're like, okay, crypto's a scam. Everybody said it was a scam. Now I know it's a scam. I'm out. And unfortunately, Solana is the platform for most memes, because they made it the easiest. And so there's a lot of TVL and a lot of liquidity there because of the memes. I made $34 in Palm tokens in 21 days. My Palm bag is worth around 900.
What is Palm?
I have no clue. I'm guessing a meme.
Palm token. Let's.
And it's not to say that you can't make money in memes. I mean, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that you're gonna always lose your money. The problem is anyone that makes money in memes, somebody lost money, and I just don't want to be a part of that. Personally, um, DeFi to me, I I sleep fine at night because the money that I make is just a small fee that somebody paid to swap their tokens or to do something in the DeFi ecosystem, and you know it's it just makes sense to me. And then and I get Bitcoin too, because I mean I plan on buying Bitcoin once I make a decent amount of money, keep making the money I'm making in DeFi. But Let's see. Yeah, alts have been ugly wispy for sure. XRP doesn't have the X's left worthwhile. Yeah, that's why I sold my XRP is that, and they Ripple made RLUSD their stable coin, and the whole premise that all the XRP maxis had, and not to say that you can't make money on XRP, but it's not going to do what everyone on social media is saying. It's not going to go to 10,000. It's not going to go to 500. The only logical reason that it might have done that in the past was it was going to have to move liquidity. And to move the liquidity that they were all claiming it was going to move, it was going to have to be an expensive, XRP per token to be able to, to move the trillions of dollars. With the stable coin, that is how people are going to move money on the XRP ledger now because it's stable. Nobody is going to use a volatile asset, and that's why Ripple made it to move liquidity. I'm not going to move $1 million when in a fraction of a second it can drop one, two, three, or 20 or
No
30%.
chance. No
It just
chance.
institutions aren't going to do it. So our USD is going to move the liquidity on chain. XRP is nothing but a thing holding up the price of XRP is hype, and you see it day in and I've gotten reported I don't know how many times on TikTok commenting on
Ah.
outrageous freaking XRP claims that is going to $1,000, and I tried to break it down like I just broke it down, and I keep getting reported because they're trying to pump XRP so that they can use you as exit liquidity.
That's crazy. The game's dirty. You just got to
No,
know how to use it to your advantage.
and again, that's why I just really like getting into solid projects and doing DeFi. It's just it to me. It's neat. It's clean. It's I call it like I see it. And whenever I see a project that churns, like XRP, I was in the top 3% of holders for XRP. I had over 30,000 XRP. Um, and I was a huge believer in it. I actually bought into the Ripple pre-IPO. I still have that
Hmm.
because I think that if anything is going to be worth something, it's going to be the company Ripple, not XRP. Um, because if they do even a portion of what they're trying to do, I mean, they're trying to buy Circle and they're trying to do all these different things. I want a piece of the Ripple action. I'm done with XRP.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seth, dog on Bitcoin is a bit different as far as memes go. I don't have any. I know that Kelly over on BitLab is big on it. Um, yeah, I'm not. I
Secured
don't
by
know much
Bitcoin's
about it,
hash
so I won't.
power.
Yeah,
I'd have to look. That would be something to good to talk to Kelly about. Like maybe doing a deeper dive
yeah,
on that because I know he's really passionate about it, and there's got to be a reason to or some utility. If it's secured by Bitcoin's hash power.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pith was supposed to be uber bullish. If people are bent on Solana ecosystem, then they need to stick to meme gambling. Yeah, yeah, um, yeah.
well, real quick
Wispy.
with
Oh, go ahead.
Jay. Um, so he said that it was good not to have any money in it, right? Or was that somebody else? But yeah, either way, Pith, I was able to get a free airdrop just from having interactions on different networks. And so it was something I didn't know about. So that's another incentive of just getting on-chain interaction around the blockchain. You might qualify for an airdrop you had no clue about, but it also goes to show like sell when prices are good because you never know when that project might be um, in the shitter like it's heading now.
Well, like I mean, my whole portfolio, all through the bear market was ISO, 2000, 2022,
Mm,
20022 tokens. So I had H bar, I had XLM, I had XRP, all of those, the whole list that, everyone holds. And as soon as I heard about RLUSD and, just the whole thing just I actually when all those pumped, there was that right around when Bitcoin started pumping, all those ISO tokens pumped like 3, 4, 5x. I
hmm
sold all of them. And not to say that H bar and some of those other ones can't go on and do great things. I just saw again, I got into DeFi and saw a lot more potential in the DeFi, RWAs and DeFi, and the potential for the TVL and the liquidity coming from institutions than I did on the possibility of maybe if Ripple can get enough banks to sign on with them,
mm,
or replace Swift, and all those narratives that got me interested in it. So again,
mm,
not to say that those projects are dead or anything, but I just saw faster horses. And so I
mhm.
sold those. I got into Ondo, I got into Plume, I got into a bunch of other projects, Aerodrome, and um, and so we'll see, if I made a good choice or not. Yeah, Wispy, my the meme coin that I did was Sheeb, and I made a little bit of money, but I didn't get rich, obviously. Let's see.
And Seth, rune airdrop. I almost bought a rune stone.
Hmm.
Um, and I instead bought an ether node or an aether node last year.
How's that
However,
treat you?
well, so that's in the wallet that got hacked
Ooh.
last year, and there's a 1 year
Oh.
lockup, and um, I'm not gonna say when it unlocks, but um, so I've got to figure out a way to get that out when it does unlock, and I have about 15,000 Ether tokens that are um, I can't claim yet because I have to do a KYC.
Hmm.
And when I do the KYC, I can claim them, but it will take 6 months for them to withdraw. So I have to wait. I'll have to wait 6 months and potentially have this asshole like be able to front run me. So I got to figure out this whole thing.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
So at least right
that's
now I got 15,000 Ether
A-
tokens, which I don't. What's the
Aether.
price of Ether right now? Uh, ATH. Oh, what, 5 cents? So
Yeah, like just over 5 cents.
times 0.05, so $750 that I can't. And I'll have to wait, 6 months at least, unless I claim early and take like a 80% cut. But yeah, that's the the many crypto adventures that are unexpected. But we move on. We move on.
We do. Well, and speaking of moving on, helium. So I actually paid $2,500 for a helium miner back, into the last bull cycle, and my brother has had it plugged in for years now, and I'm not sure what we have, but they kind of rug pulled us because we I was earning helium, and then all of a sudden they switched it to where you earn IoT
Hmm.
instead of helium, and so yeah, I kind of got pissed at that, but we'll see what happens.
There was a thing with their network, how it was their network was kind of fucked up, and they moved to they migrated to the Solana network, and they had a whole proposal to do the migration,
Mm.
and they were because it's more efficient and all that stuff. Well, what happened right after they migrated over to Solana? I don't even want to say it was a few months. The FTX collapse. And
Oh,
all of a sudden, Helium just took a shit, man. Because
yeah. No,
I
it was
was
like 50. It was up to like $50, like $50 a token.
I sold at like 45. I sold a good chunk at 45,
Oh,
and
good on you.
it helped pay for a festival trip. So, and then it just tanked so hard. I was like, no. But yeah, did you ever get your money back
Did I ever get my money back?
from the helium miner? Your return on investment?
No, no, nowhere close.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless helium goes to like $100, I probably won't see that money back. But
Shit.
yeah, Richard, Flare was actually one of the first projects. And those that don't know, Flare is a project that adds smart contracts to XRP. And so I got an airdrop of Flare. It was my first introduction to airdrops. And so I actually had it on Bifrost staked to where I was earning. And then now I hold it on Uphold. And so I get monthly airdrops from it. It's like about 3.3% every month, which is kind of nice. So yeah, no, I mean Flare has. I mean, I haven't seen them do a whole lot, but I have earned a decent amount of Flare, and I still hold on to that because I'm hoping that if Ripple does something, that Flare will be a part of that because it again with smart contracts it allows for DeFi. If without smart
Hmm.
contracts you can't have DeFi. So it basically Flare brought DeFi to XRP, the XRP ledger.
Oh, Wispy had one that he asked about the cell service. I just signed up for the Helium Mobile last
Mm.
week. It took me 2 weeks to get my identity verified and payment processed because there were some issues with my billing address since I just moved. But it seems to be working. I use it just for my crypto stuff because I wanted to move everything off my personal phone, and I
Mm.
just have that as my crypto. It's $30 a month for unlimited. They have a $15 service and a free service. So, check them out if you just need something quick and easy.
Yeah, and Alden, absolutely. Like meme coins last cycle, there was a handful. You had Pepe, you had Sheeb, you had Doge. There was only a couple. You're right. This time around, it is ridiculous. I mean, the amount it's even annoying whenever I get onto into liquidity pools. I wish they had a filter to where I could filter out meme coin pools because it's insane trying to weed through all those to find good projects to put liquidity into. All right, hold on. I think Jay's
Yeah.
being funny here. You mean XRP won't have a multi-trillion dollar market cap? Uh, Anything is possible, but I don't see it. I just don't. I'm sorry to anybody who's super bullish on XRP. Again, I was there. I thought that I was going to get rich on XRP, and again, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was when when Ripple came up with RLUSD, with their stable coin. It basically replaced the need for XRP to have a high value, in my opinion.
Yeah, that Palm token that Seth Shepard was talking about,
Yeah.
um, it's a hold on real quick. It's an actual like it looks like a legit project. This
Oh, okay.
one of the world's most elite locations. Palm gives you a key to it looks like an island in Dubai that's secured or it's the first
I've
token secured by real land.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's that. Yeah, there it is, right there. It's like that. That's the arms of the palm. They basically created this
Yeah.
massive island that looks like
Man-made.
a palm tree, and they built a bunch of houses on it.
Yeah. I mean, if seems pretty cool.
Let's see.
Man, I'm loving the interaction today.
Oh no, I'm loving this.
This is
I'm just
awesome.
going through the comments because I'd love answering questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
What do we
sold
got?
Seth. I sold my soul. I sold my soul. I sold my Solana last year. So I bought during the FTX collapse at like I think it was like $20 or $30, something like that. And then when it pumped up, I want to say it was close to 200. I sold like 150, 175, something like that. I sold all my Solana. Um, I'm just not a true believer. Um, how do y'all feel about ENA? It's the only position I have a horrible buy-in. Got in at 85 cents, but I DCA'd it down to 60. It's only 3% of my portfolio, so no biggie. And is that what is ENA? I don't want to get this wrong.
Ethereum. Oh, ENA. Um,
Oh, Athena.
Athena. I was thinking Ethereum name. No, that's ENS. Yeah, Athena.
So, well, here I'll pull up the chart. Here we go. Let's take a look at the chart.
I mean, they're in with Ondo, right? And
Yes, I believe so. Let's go down. I just want to make sure that I get this right. Athena is building a synthetic dollar protocol called USDE. Okay, I have seen that. That aims to be a crypto native alternative to traditional stablecoins. The protocol uses crypto assets like ETH and Bitcoin as collateral and derivatives positions to maintain stability. So it's a DeFi play.
mm-hmm.
So looking at the chart, um, I'm not a big chart guy, but I mean, you're getting like what looks to be like a cup and handle, and another cup started. I don't know. I won't pretend like I know what I'm doing when it comes to charts, but it's a DeFi play. I mean, if it's only 3% of your portfolio, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I would definitely use that tracking sheet that I got or something like it and map out how you're going to DCA out of that position if it does get a pump. Because once DeFi starts to take off, and alts start running, then then you're gonna see a lot of things pump. And when that happens, you need to be prepared to get out. To ladder out of your positions, and make sure that you have uh, very clear levels, price points that you're going to take, 10% out at this price, 20% out at this price, and just ladder out like this. This is mine. So, like on Casper, I'm taking 10% at 10 cents, 20% at 15 cents. DAG, if it hits it's 50 cents, I'm taking 10%. And it just basically computes if I hit all my targets, this is what I'm going to end up having. So, I definitely suggest, everyone out there, while things are boring, get your ladder out strategy dialed in so that when things start to move, and emotions and all those things are in play, just stick to your plan regardless of what you hear, regardless of the news, regardless of what social media says that we're going to the moon. Just make sure that you're cashing out, because there's no
Mm-hmm.
worse feeling. I haven't experienced it, but plenty of people in crypto that have been in crypto for multiple cycles have round tripped bags. And there's nothing worse than looking at your portfolio and seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. And
Mm-hmm.
then one morning you wake up and you have, if you're lucky, what you started with. There's no worse feeling, I'm sure. So that's not going to be me.
No. That
I'm
was nice.
debating on throwing a little more in since I'm down. I don't do that. If anything, I have seen pools for those assets. If you want to lower your average entry, there's no better way than DeFi. Earning free tokens
Hmm.
is the best way to lower your average entry. So use those tokens in DeFi, maybe put them in a liquidity pool to where you can earn more and, kind of lower your average entry that way would be my suggestion. Not financial advice, but what I would do if I was in your position. Yes, hopefully mainnet for Plume is around the corner. Please, oh God, please. The airdrop on Dog is worth about 5K now. Nice. Flare can work with Cardano. All right, let's finish out some of these and we'll cut this off. I need to go get some
Yeah,
dinner.
and Plume mainnet coming soon.
Yes. Oh, Seth Shepard said that wasn't the Palm token that you pulled up.
Yeah, was it Palm AI? I think that's it. Palm AI.
It has a stable coin too. Yeah. Kyle, that stable coin is USDE. And TJ probably likes it because, again, it's a DeFi play. And yeah, if it's in World Liberty Fi portfolio, it might be a good hold. That's why I was saying, if I was you, I would use a portion of your holdings, maybe 20% or something, put it into DeFi and just have it, making free E&A for you, and you can, like I said, lower your average entry. He
Yeah.
says if you type in Palm and CoinGecko, the correct token is Palm Economy. I think I'd have to use the wet wipe test on Sack Nasty Stepmom. Uh, I started with nothing, so round tripping anything has been beneficial. Sack Nasty. It's fucking hilarious.
Palm. There's a lot of palms. Okay. Palm
We were
economy.
most likely chopping through the summer, so I'm loading up on my DeFi pools and DCAing. That's what I'm doing. I mean, here's my liquidity pools is I got AVAX USDC. I've made about $44 on that in the past couple weeks, and I only have $1,000 in it. Sonic USDC, I've had this in here for a while. I've about $321. Only made about $10 on that. Nothing stellar. Um, Wrapped ETH USDC. This is the pool that I've had open since I started DeFi. This thing has made me probably 15 grand. It's at 4,000 right now because I started with 9, but when I got in, ETH was at like 4,000 or just above 4,000. Like I think it was like 4,200. So I wrote it down, but it's made me more than my initial investment, so I'm not worried about it. And yeah, it just keeps minting me money. Anytime it's in range, it just mints money. Arrow. Arrow is one that I've been wanting to keep lowering my average entry. I have a super low average entry on it. I want to say my average entry is like 40 something cents. Hold on. Yeah, 48 cents is my average entry on Arrow. And actually I need to
Oh,
add some of my free Arrow and it will probably bump it down some more. But
you think?
yeah, USDC Arrow, these full range positions, I've made probably about 500 or 600 bucks off of these full range arrow positions. My lady, she just put some of her arrow in a full range position the other day. We're actually going to be starting to build her out a DeFi portfolio, here in the next couple of days. Um,
So, AVAX USDC. Have you been doing some AVAX, right?
yeah, that's that beefy position I just showed.
Okay.
So, yeah, this one I'm earning like right now. My 7-day average APY is 269%.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is just free, free AVAX. So I've made about 5% in the past couple of weeks. Like I
Okay.
said, not huge, but not terrible.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Um,
Good.
this wrapped ETH Kita, TJ was talking about it, and I found a pool for it. And this one has already made me like like I only put like 580 bucks in it, and I've already made like 300 or 400 bucks on it. So another week or two, and I'll have made my initial investment on this already, and it's only been
Whoa.
like 2 or 3 weeks.
Damn. What's the range? How's your range
Uh,
on there?
I have a 38% range. It's a huge range.
Oh
So
shit.
it's from 2750 to 4000 as far
Whoa.
as so yeah, it's a massive range. But this it's making me a ton of money. It looks like Blumpkin. I remember that he was in the chat when I was talking about it, and I want to say he jumped in as well.
Yeah, Seth,
Um,
I'm looking at that Palm economy right now. Decentralized economy for RWAs on Cardano.
oh,
Okay.
gotcha. And then this, of course, Plume. Plume. I started out with $1,500 in Plume, and as you can see, I have like at one point I had almost $5,000 before the markets turned down. But I have like 4,200, $4,300 in Plume, um, that I've built for free. So what is that? Like $3,000, like $3,500 that I've earned in Plume in just the past couple of months, plus the like $1,300 that I have in a Bitcoin position, a Bitcoin pool, is from my Plume pool. So
Mm.
like Plume is
Mm-hmm.
been a work between the wrapped ETH, my wrapped ETH position and my Plume position. They have been my workhorses, and just Plume just trends sideways. So I almost don't want the main net to come because I don't want the price to pump yet because I'm loving this earning.
Because of the side, man, it's the perfect sideways action.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, do you got any closing thoughts, Jeff?
It's always good to unplug and get away from the markets sometimes. Um, don't feel like you have to be in it 24/7 and overwhelm yourself. Because as much as I love to be in this all day, every day, I do need to remind myself to unplug and step back and just take time for myself. And oh, yeah, last week, I think on Friday actually or yesterday, um, it's the 3-year anniversary of my channel.
Nice.
Let me see. Yeah, I meant to. Um, yeah, so I started 3 years ago. I think yesterday was my first video, and if I can see this, you guys want to know like just start something. Whatever it is you want to do, just fucking start it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. Right here, I'll show you this, and I'll end with that because I just started this channel to really share knowledge about crypto and stuff, and I started doing these streams, once or twice a week, and just talking about different like Cardano projects and what the blockchain's about, and then it developed into airdrop stuff, and uh, then I started showing my face. So it was kind of clunky at first, and then it ramped up into a pretty like everyday thing. And then I started meeting more of the community and got to be on the blockchain basement last year, and then met you through that community,
Yep.
and we did I jumped on your stream, and then you reached out to me, wanted to do this show. So
Yeah.
don't
No.
be afraid to get out there and do something that might be you never know where it'll take you, because this show has that we're streaming on now, DCA, has come from all these different steps, and
Mhm.
it's been a lot of fun. And I was saying last year, man, it'd be cool to get to work with some of these guys, at the Hit Network, or you're just
Mhm.
collaborating on stuff, and then we've developed this community and this platform into this really cool fucking show.
Yeah. No, and
And
I'm really grateful to TJ and Drew, for giving us this opportunity. Because yeah, I mean it's something that I always say, that I always tell myself is, if you want the life that everyone else has, do what everyone else is doing. If you want to
Mhm,
do something different, if you want to blaze your own trail, or do something original, or something that's you know going to be more, then you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone. Get up off of your ass, and you know no, but there's no time better than the present to just
mhm.
figure out what you want and just go for it. Even if you don't have a plan, just start trying and failing and learning. And eventually, if you're just stubborn and beat your head against the wall, you'll be successful. Trust me, I do it often.
Absolutely. That's-
So,
Zach, are we gonna do Solana DeFi? Oh, are we? Oops, sorry.
all right,
We-
I promised Sack Nasty. I promised all you that love Solana, and all of you that love Cardano. We'll do a Solana Cardano special for you all. Even though there's not a ton of platforms on either one of them that I personally would put liquidity on, just not enough volume, unless you're into memes, But yeah, that's the problem with Solana, is I won't put money into meme pools, which is probably not a smart thing, because there's a lot of volume there and a lot of fees to be earned. I just don't believe in the assets. I don't want to end up, having to freaking hodl, freaking, stinky finger in freaking, it's like I just don't want to do it. So, um, but anyway, that's all. I'm gonna go
yeah,
make me a steak and enjoy my evening with my
get you some
lady.
food,
So
man. We
till
appreciate
next time,
everybody out there.
Veteran Crypto out. One last thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know Memorial Day isn't exclusive to veterans, but I just want to say thank you to all my brothers and sisters out there that served this Memorial Day. I hope you all have a great time with your
hmm
families, and please, if you're religious, and you say prayers and stuff like that, whatever God that you pray to, please pray for those that put their life on the line to protect something that they believe in.
Yes,
So
yes.
again, Veteran Crypto out.